Episode 4. We're on our way to Julia Pimsleur's apartment. She's written 2 books. Most recent one, Go Big Now. We did not take into account that it's St. Patty's Day parade. So instead of just going across the 59th Street Bridge, we had to go all the way up to Harlem, over the Triborough, across Harlem, down the West Side Highway, and now we're heading over to Columbus Circle. Very excited. Julia and I go way back. And I actually proposed to my wife at Julia's apartment in Antibes, France, in the south of France. So Julia and I have known each other forever, and she does a million things. Like, she's written 2 books. She has a program called $1 Million Women. She also has a venture fund called $1 Million Fund. She also used to work with me as a volunteer at Entrepreneurs Organization. So Julia does everything, and although we are running late and she has a 1:30 cutoff, I think that it's going to be a great episode, and I'm excited to share with you all. Episode 4, I'm here with a very good friend of mine, someone that I've always looked up to since I started this entrepreneur journey, Julia Pimsleur. She's got a very long list of impressive resume, but I was told not to bring it up because she wanted to make sure that we have enough time to get into the details of what has gotten her to this point. So very briefly, even though I was told specifically.
I'm setting my timer.
There we go. So Julia and I met each other during Entrepreneurs Organization. Julia was our accelerator leader. What's the matter?
Look, I got the picture right here.
Oh, nice. There we go.
Unplanned, unrehearsed.
And Julia has started many ventures. Her first venture, Little Pim, she was the CEO and founder. Still running, stepped down to create $1 Million Women, also $1 Million Venture Fund for scholarships for $1 Million Women, and 2 best-selling books, $1 Million Women, and the newest one, Go Big Now, which everyone can find on Amazon. And so I guess the reason that I wanted to interview you is so everyone can hear how tough of a mindset it takes to succeed for as many years as you've succeeded as being an entrepreneur.
Thank you. And I remember when we used to do those meetings for the EO board, and you guys were just so devoted, and we had so much fun, and our friendship grew out of that. So, it's another reason whenever people are considering leadership positions and they're like, I don't know, it sounds like a lot of time. I'm always like, you don't know what friends you're going to make. Like, look, here we are 8 years later or whatever it is. And
crazy.
It's awesome. So yeah, I'm excited for this conversation.
So one of your books, Go Big Now. Did I say it right?
You did.
It's all about ditching grit and going big.
Yes.
So when you think about that, like, what does that mean to you, ditch grit, go big?
Well, I think that especially women and people of color, but maybe white guys too, to a degree, you can tell me, are heavily socialized to just work twice as hard as everyone else. That's the road to success. And I know that the brief period of time I was in corporate America, there was a lot of emphasis placed on, okay, who's staying the latest? Who's getting in the earliest?
Yeah.
And so when you go to become an entrepreneur, you have to get rid of that, because the truth is that's not what leads to success. You and I have seen so many people work crazy hard and not reach success, right? So why is that? Now, I'm not saying you don't need grit and hustle. You do.
Of course.
But that's just the baseline, right? And it can actually get in your way.
Yeah, I mean, our underlying theme when we're talking to successful entrepreneurs is is not just working really hard, everyone does that, but trying to break down this misconception that Gary Vee puts out, other people like him, that you just need to not sleep, you need to hustle all day, every day, and that's the only way to be successful. And I think you do a really good job of creating this future that you have envisioned, right? So
it's actually a fast road to burnout, isn't it?
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
To just hustle all the time.
So the vision board, do you want to just walk people through on how you came up with this idea and how it applies to your own life?
Sure, yeah, that's one of the mindset tools that I use and I taught in the book Go Big Now, where if you get very specific about the kinds of things you want to bring into your life through making a vision board, which is not something I created, those exist out there, but I think entrepreneurs weren't using them as much as we are now. There's so many amazing mindset tools that are sort of over there in the whole personal development world. And I think the worlds are starting to meet of entrepreneurship and personal development. But one of the things I'm trying to do, and I feel you're doing it too, is like create a bridge between those two worlds, right?
Yeah.
So they're not separate conversations. So a vision board is just when you take a big piece of cardboard and you pull out images from magazines, or you can even print out pictures of your family, whatever, and you put it all up on the board in a way that you'll always have these visuals in front of you to inspire you throughout the year. You want to put it somewhere where you're definitely going to see it, right? Like the kitchen or like the laundry room. And what it does is it kind of gets your unconscious looking for those things. It's amazing, Zach, because I taught a vision board workshop 3 years in a row in Florida, and I had some of the same women coming back. And by the third year, people were showing up saying, "You're not going to believe the things I got off the vision board."
And they were hitting it.
Crazy stuff like scholarships to get into graduate school, a new house, changing lives and going to some beautiful island that they only imagined and put a picture on the vision board and then somehow got invited. So I'm not saying it works for every single thing, but
Sure.
It's a great way to stay focused on what you want.
And this isn't just being used as entrepreneurs, right? Your sons have made vision boards too.
Yeah, it's a great family activity. So much fun to just pull out things from magazines and say, okay, what do we want this year to be about? Because so much of building a successful life, which may include a successful business, is just getting intentional,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
just putting that out there. So I think
Just put it out in the world and see what happens.
And it's fun. It's
Right.
fun to do. Have you made one, Zach? Have you ever made a vision
I
board?
have, yeah. Not in a while. I'm going to.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
Yep.
Once a year. Mine really got me through the pandemic, because talk about a time when you had to keep a vision,
Yeah.
right, of what life would be like when you could, see your friends again, hug
Yeah.
your mom again. I mean, crazy stuff that was taken away. So I would just look at that vision board of all the things that brought me joy and be like, okay, they're coming back, and now they are.
So you're currently founder, CEO of $1 Million Women. How did COVID make your business pivot?
Yeah, but when COVID hit, we were running a 4-month online business program that you know well since you mentor in it.
Yep.
So thanks for helping our women to go big. And that worked for a few years. That was great. But then when the pandemic hit, we had so many women reaching out to us wanting help, needing help. Women run small businesses were really hard hit, and women of color even harder hit.
Yeah.
Our community is about 30% women of color. So we said, okay, let's do free webinars. I went live, did a lot of live coaching. And after a few weeks of that, we realized this 4-month business program we had really wasn't what women needed right now. What they needed was ongoing support, ongoing community, access to mentors, access to resources like capital. So we decided to press pause on everything we were doing and just say, if we were to reinvent $1 Million Women today, what business model would we use? And we looked all around at all the different options and decided to make it a membership community. That really hit all the points of what we wanted to do, which is
Sure.
ongoing support with the business program in it, the mentorship, the networking opportunities. And so, we launched it just about 9 months ago, and it's doing great. We had 150 women sign up in the first 6 weeks.
Wow.
And we helped 150 women in the entire year before that. So that was a great sign that we're on the right track.
Absolutely. How does that make you feel, knowing that 150 women have a better chance of succeeding hearing from you? And this is actually pretty similar. I know we've talked about this in the past, but a franchise system, having something to use as a support, been there, done that kind of situation. How does that make you feel?
Well, I love helping them to go big, because the truth is, even though it's 2022, there still are different opportunities available to men and women. And women came to the business world a little later. Men have been running businesses, for centuries.
Yeah.
And therefore, I feel like we're helping women to catch up, because women are so smart and so driven. And like most of my guy friends say, without missing a beat, like, oh, if I really want a job to be done well, I give it to the woman on my team. Like, people know women are hard workers. There's no like debate about that. The question is, how do we go from being the best number 2 possible to being an amazing number 1? And for that, we sometimes need a little extra help. I know I did, when I made that shift. I was a film producer, I think before I became an entrepreneur and coach. And my job was to make the director look amazing, and I was good at that. I was like best behind the scenes person you could possibly ask for. So when it came time to be kind of the face of $1 Million Women, I wasn't all that comfortable with it. I was like, no, I'll just be back here making everything work, So now we help other women do that too.
So how did you get comfortable with it?
Well, for me, it always all stems from how badly do you want the thing on the other side of the moat that looks like hell, right? So even though it did not look appealing at all to figure out how to like become a personal brand, I'm not even sure those are terms I knew at the time. I just knew I was going to have to like really ramp up my public presence, right? Get a public speaking coach, start doing massive social media, make websites, update them, all the things, right? All the things you have to do if you want to, go big in any business, really. But I'm very impact driven, and I really saw this as a fixable problem. This idea that we've talked about this a lot, right? Why do only 2 to 3% of women entrepreneurs get to 1 million in revenues? In the business world, that's just kind of getting off go, right?
That's just getting to the point where you can be profitable or break even.
That's right. Or think about franchising or something, maybe not even yet thinking about franchising, but you've got something that works, and then you have so many more possibilities open to you. So I was able to get to 1 million with a lot of help from mentors and coaches and doing mindset work. And all the things I did, when I looked back at what I had done, I was like, wow, if only those had all been in one program, right? And for a lot less money, because I had to spend a lot of money to get access to all that. So that's really what we did, was take the best of coaching, community, mentorship, mindset work, and put it in one place. And that's really exciting to me. Like, having a chance to fix this problem in my lifetime. Okay, maybe it's not going to be 25% of women get to 1 million, but I want to see that needle move. I
think it is moving. I'm also a mentor in your program, and I've talked to so many amazing women entrepreneurs that can't speak. All they do is speak so highly of you and the program, because it's really hard to take something like entrepreneurship and to create some sort of like systematic program, which I think you've done a really good job of.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm a piece of it, and a big piece of it is the mentors, and then also the peer-to-peer, because they're all helping each other a lot. But I love the ecosystem we're creating, where women are getting to 1 million, coming back, sharing what worked for them, mentoring women in our community, sometimes investing in the women. So we're getting there, one business at a time.
So one of the things that have always amazed me about you is just how many things you can juggle at once. You run $1 Million Women. You've written 2 books, which most of the books were written at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's
5:30
my best writing time, yes.
You're a mother of 2 amazing, they're not even boys anymore.
Teenagers, almost in college, one, unbelievable.
Both amazing personalities that you could tell that you were a strong foundation in their success, right? And they're just getting going.
They're awesome.
How do you do this? How do you juggle such a busy schedule and be successful?
Well, it's funny you asked this today, because a dear friend of mine got back in touch with me. I've known him for like 20 years. In fact, he's the one who encouraged me to get my first book deal for $1 Million Women. So he's got like his 3rd or 4th book coming out. We haven't been in touch. And he wrote me this morning and said, hey, let's get together for lunch. And I wrote back and said, that'd be awesome. I haven't seen you in so long. I'm CCing Alex on my team. She'll help us find a day. Can't wait to see you. Moved on. And he writes back, I'd love to do lunch, but I don't want to go through your assistant. I don't do that with friends. And I just thought, oh my God, this is such a gendered moment happening right here. Because for women, if we don't get help, we can't do all the things,
Of
right?
course.
So this is a short answer to, or a long answer to your question, which is I just delegate like crazy, right? I coined the term delegation ninja. I teach all the women in my community to be a delegation ninja because if you want to do all the things you want to do, you've got to get help.
Yep.
And I know he didn't mean to offend me, but I did write back and I was like, listen, like, I'm a single mom. I'm running a for-profit. I'm running a nonprofit. I'm raising capital. I'm dating. Like, no, if I don't get some help with my scheduling, then I can't do this. And, you know, he wrote back, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I never thought about it that way. You know, he just thought I was being like high and mighty or something. So it is, I think, a little harder for women because if we have a family, right, then we do always just have those two jobs. Now, I know you're a super involved dad, and it's not like you're going to be like, Danielle, this is all on you.
Well, I think she would disagree, but I like to think that I'm super involved dad. You know, I drop her off and I pick her up and we stroll her from our apartment to Remix, which is right next to our daycare.
Oh,
and
that's great.
Those 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like the best time of my day.
Oh, so
I look
fun.
forward to it.
She's awesome, and she's so lucky to have you as a dad. But
Yeah.
look, whether you're married, divorced, I've done both, right? I was married for 12 years, divorced for 6 now, I think. The division of labor is still not totally even,
Definitely
right?
not, yeah.
And there are just things as a mom that fall to you. But I
course.
wouldn't trade it. I love my boys. So anyway, it's just about prioritizing and delegating, I think is the answer. And, you know, knowing what drives you.
I think most people are afraid to delegate, right? They're afraid to pass on that power. And what I found is that the stuff that you're talking about delegating is the stuff you shouldn't be doing if you're a business owner, entrepreneur. And most people gravitate towards doing the stuff that makes them feel comfortable, right? And that's how you have more time than most people in your position because you do such a great job delegating.
Well,
Is that correct?
Thank you. I mean, I think a lot of it is about honoring your genius work. So that's a term I talk about in Go Big Now. It comes from Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap, which is a great book. If anybody listening hasn't read it, definitely check it out, The Big Leap. And once you identify what you think your genius work is, which is just the thing that you're uniquely good at.
Yep.
Right? And then you have to have the discipline to say, okay, everything that doesn't fall in the genius work, right? Like for me, it's taking complex principles and making them simple. So other people can learn them. Like, I'm good at that. I love doing it. It's the thing that you would do even if no one paid you, right?
Yep.
That's usually your genius work. And then taking all the other things, which you might be very good at, by the way, and finding someone else to do them. We recently had a guest on our series called Power 45, where we interview women who've built multi-million-dollar businesses from scratch. And she had a great framework I liked. She called the JCC. She's like, you have to know what your jam is. That's the J, like the thing you do even if no one pays you.
Yep.
What's your craft? That's the other C, which is like, what are you really good at? But it might not be your jam.
Yep.
But people praise you for it and pay you highly for it. And then the last C is, what is your calling? And she's like, if you can get all three in one thing, that's the sweet spot, right? And
I love that.
I feel lucky I have all three like that. And what I love helping other women do is figure out, okay, how do I focus more on this 5% and delegate the rest to my team?
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously family is so huge to you. You're now circumnavigating parenthood as a single mother and
Applying to college.
applying to college.
Yeah, I'm just getting ready for
You know,
college.
I think you come from such a strong family history, right? Your father created the Pimsleur method. He spoke 7 languages. You speak 3 or
3, yeah.
3 languages. When you think about that, and this is something that I actually have dealt with for the last 10 years of my life, is creating my own niche, right? Because I come from my brother who's been super successful with junk luggers. I've always had this chip on my shoulder of creating my own path. You know, does that resonate with you?
And I don't even know your brother. To me, you are junk luggers. Like, he's just some name I've heard. So does that resonate? Well, for me, my father died when I was 8, right? I was very little. And what's interesting is he never had success as a business owner. He was an academic, and he came up with this method of teaching foreign languages. And my mom tells the story that they used to send them out on cassette tapes from the basement. She would put in a load of laundry of like me and my brother's, you know, baby clothes, and then like be packaging up these audio cassettes and sending them out. So when he passed away very suddenly of a heart attack, she was left widow with 2 kids and this like method. And she sold it to various people, held on to the trademark happily. but worked with various companies, some of whom completely bamboozled her. They had to go to court. Terrible things happening. But ultimately, it landed in the hands of Simon & Schuster, one of the big publishers, and they did a great job with it. So what's interesting is, as an adult, I go to cocktail parties and people hear my name, and I would say 3 out of 10 are like, wait, Pimsleur, I think I took that language method in Spanish or French.
Yeah.
The other 7 are like, what's that again? How do you pronounce that? But the point is that my father created something that has this lasting legacy.
I love it.
And that's super inspiring to me. And I also feel closer to him every time someone says, oh, I took Pimsleur. Like, I feel that connection to my dad. So I think it did inspire me from an early age of like, oh, you could come up with something that could like outlive you, right?
Yeah.
And that could create this whole legacy for your family. And that's part of what drove me to create Little Pim, my first business, and now $1 Million Women.
It's amazing. And, you've always taken what you've learned and not been comfortable with it, right? And taken that learning lesson from each business to create a new one, even if you needed to move on or didn't, right? You were never happy with just the consistency. You always were pushing yourself to grow, which leads us to our next conversation about mindset. Obviously, you can all hire Julia to be a mindset coach. This is what she's doing on the reg. But when I say mindset, what does that mean to you?
Well, for me, mindset is about having a set of beliefs that gets you through life, right? Mm-hmm. Because everybody has a mindset, whether they identify it or not. And so when I created the Go Big Now mindset, it was really about creating a system, right? So that you could have a set of beliefs that allows you to stay positive, overcome any obstacle, and reach your goals. That's the Go Big mindset.
Yep.
And it took a long time to put that together because, like you, we've always both been interested in, personal development and reading books. And I went to tons of, seminars and weekend retreats and worked with some of the top people in the mindset world. And after about 10 years of doing this, I realized, oh, the same themes are coming up everywhere, right? Yep. And not everyone has time to go to 100 retreats and read all these books and spend all this money. So I just kind of distilled it all down into these 8 simple principles where anybody could use these principles and have the Go Big mindset.
So what are your daily rituals? Like, what are you doing on a daily basis to keep your mindset, firing?
How much time do we have? I'm doing a lot of things. All right, I'll tell you the basic ones. So right now I'm raising capital for $1 Million Women. And so I have a big mantra up on my mirror that isn't like, oh, I'm going to attract the money. It's like, I am so excited about building the first national platform to educate women entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And it also says, I am a magnet because I'm attracting all the people, all the resources that I need to do that. I mean, it's scary to start a new business, right? I'm in my early 50s. I was like, do I actually have another whole big business in me? But my mom's 84, she's going strong. And I was like, if I'm going to work another 30 years, which I probably am or longer, I want to do something that I'm really excited about. So anyway, I have the thing on my mirror. I meditate every morning for 20 to 30 minutes.
Assisted or unassisted meditation?
I have a method that I teach in Go Big Now, which I call the 4-leaf clover method, just because there's 4 different things that you do. And it's funny, it's St. Patrick's Day today. We're talking about the 4-leaf clover, their symbol. So you go through these 4 things, and it's love and compassion, joy, and then it's, loving kindness, joy, compassion, peace are the 4 leaves.
So you're going through all of it during
you
the
go through all of it about someone else. So I think I did you this morning because I knew I was seeing you. You just get someone into your mind and you think, okay, what's some loving kindness that I could, imagine them having. I might picture you having breakfast with your wife and daughter, right? And having a loving, kind moment. Okay, what's joy? Oh, maybe you're about to go on vacation. Maybe some great big thing just happened at work. Yeah, let's get you on vacation. And then where do you need compassion in your life, right? What are you working on right now that's hard? Maybe you've just had a loss or whatever. And then the last one is the peace. How could Zach have a peaceful day today? And it's amazing the benefits of kind of visiting your friends and family and loved ones in this meditation. Mm-hmm. It gets you out of the me, which is already half of having a good mindset, right? Because our minds tend to just spin about our own issues and our own problems. Yeah. And it's also a great reminder that everybody's got things they need compassion for, right? And everybody's got some mix of those 4 that's different on any given day. Then you do it for yourself. And I think for entrepreneurs especially, that compassion leaf is often missing.
Yeah.
We're very good at like, this is my next goal, and I'm driving towards it, and I'm kicking ass, and I'm crushing it, and right? But where's the self-compassion, for something you didn't hit? Or maybe you're exhausted, or maybe you just had a personal setback. So taking that time to have some self-compassion, super important. Get through all that, then I do affirmations every day, and then I'm ready to start my day. Hang with my cats a little bit. They're awesome. Horace and Jasper. If my boys are here, they're here half the week. We have breakfast together. And then I do work out a lot. I would say 3 to 5 days a week. And
What are your...
Swimming, Pilates, running, bar class, like a whole mix of things.
She doesn't stop. 7 days a week. I could attest.
5 days a week I work out.
But she does not miss one workout.
Well, that's what I do. And,
Awesome.
I think for anybody who's getting started on their mindset journey, it's not about like, oh, let me do these 12 things every day. It's like, pick one, right? Pick one thing to commit to and do it every day. Maybe it's when I started meditating, it was 5 minutes. I meditated for 5 minutes every day for about, a month. And then I got up to 10 and then 20, and now I'm right at 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. So, even someone as busy as Julia, that has so much going on, still finds a way to spend 20 to 30 minutes a day meditating. And I think that's so powerful, because all the time I hear, so my biggest, we're calling them life hacks. My biggest one right now is ice baths, which I know is very popular right now, but everyone tells me I don't have time. And what I think is, you're never gonna have time unless you carve out time. So the more I add this crazy into my life.
You're doing it? You're doing
Yeah,
ice
I'm
baths?
doing 4 days a week when I'm in
Wow.
Connecticut.
Cool.
The
No
more
wonder your skin looks so good.
Yeah.
You look good.
And the more I just add these crazy routines into my life, the more I realize how inefficient other parts of my life were. And the only way to add more and more into your life is to become more and more efficient. So
it's really true, because you rise to that level, right? And we all know with our work, like if you have 2 hours to do something, or if you have 20 minutes to do something,
you do the same thing.
you probably could get that thing done in 20 minutes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and then it's also about honoring yourself as a human being, right? We're not work machines. We're humans who happen to work, right? And so we want to remember that the more time you carve out to honor yourself as a full human being, the more you'll have to give, right? The more you'll make good use of the other time.
Absolutely.
And just create that foundation. I don't know what an ice bath does for you, and I've been curious to hear how that feels. Not tried that one, but I know with meditation, it feels like it creates a foundation. It's almost like laying down a plush carpet.
Yeah.
Right? And then when things get tough and you drop that glass or whatever, it's not dropping on a hardwood floor. It's dropping on a plush carpet. You have something to catch it, because you've created this baseline of calm and ease in your mind.
That's so good.
What does ice bath feel like? What's it feel like?
Torture. This has come up
It's not the plush carpet.
This has come up a couple episodes already, but the way that I always explain it is, it's the worst 3 minutes of my day.
Okay.
And if I can accomplish that, I know that I can accomplish anything.
That's
So
good.
as soon as I get out, I'm like, well, I'm done with that until tomorrow. So now I can enjoy my day. So it's
But there must be some positive benefit.
Oh,
You
yeah.
must feel something good.
well, it's
right?
for my Achilles surgery.
Oh yes, you had that
Yeah,
surgery.
so the
Okay.
inflammation, it helps a ton with inflammation.
Well, that's good.
Immune system. I really haven't been sick.
Wow.
There's many benefits.
That's cool. Good for you. All right, I might have to try that one.
Yep. And you start in a shower. That's how you'd start. 20 seconds in a cold shower, turn it to cold, freeze, turn it back to hot, enjoy.
Right. Well, there's that contrast, right? It's like, okay, now everything else feels even better.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think 8 years ago when I met you, the first time I met you, you taught me one of the most important things that I just want to make sure we touch. So you said to me and to our group, as an entrepreneur, you have 3 goals that you have to hit every single day. First one, set the strategy, which is probably the hardest out of all 3. Number 2, hire the best people. And number 3, keep the money in the bank.
You're such a good student.
So
You got them all.
So what does that mean to you?
Well, it goes back to what we were saying earlier about what does it mean to become a successful entrepreneur, right? How do you teach that? It's really about going from being the doer to being the leader.
Yeah.
And those 3 things you just said, that is what a leader does, right? Everyone from, Elon Musk to Sarah Blakely, like that's how they spend their time. And so entrepreneurs building businesses that are maybe making, 100,000 or a million or 5 million sometimes think, well, I'll be like that when I'm bigger.
Yeah.
But that's how you get bigger, right? Because if you're focused on the strategy, hiring the best people, and keeping the money in the bank, that means delegating a whole bunch of other things, right?
Yeah.
To clear up the time to do that. And those are the 3 things that you really can't outsource. I mean, you can have a finance person, but they're not going to be up at night worrying if you're going to make payroll, right? That's still on you.
Yeah, and I think in terms of, at this time, 8 years ago, all I had was luggers. I didn't have anyone supporting me behind the scenes. And I just remember hearing that and thinking to myself, like, I had my blinders up. I need to constantly be thinking, could this be my next person that works for me? And a lot of our success, because we have such a strong team, now through Junk Luggers and Remix, we're talking about 100 coworkers. I never call them employees.
That's amazing.
And when I think about it, and someone says, Roger's great on the camera, or Pete is such an amazing general manager. Well, yeah, right? You want that. You don't want to be the best at it. You want someone else to be the best at it. And it's like kind of like passing the reins to, or what do you call it? Passing the guard.
Well, plus that might be their genius work.
Right.
Right? I mean, another way of thinking of it is, if you don't give up some of these things, how can other people do their genius work if you're hogging it all, right? And it's probably not your genius work. I'm sure he's a way better general manager than you were, even though you're probably really good at it, right?
Yep.
But
he's way better.
Well, there you go. You're good at it.
So
it's been really fun to watch you grow the business, and look, now you're able to do this because you created this space in your life. So that's super cool.
Thank you. Part of being an entrepreneur is stealing other people's ideas. Right?
I thought you were going to say part of being an entrepreneur is getting through the really sucky times. I don't know why that's what
well, okay, I'm going to...
Because we should probably touch on that too.
Yes.
Yes.
Should we go to that first?
Let's do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that, because I know that when I was growing my first business, Little Pim, I would go hear a lot of speakers and want to get inspired. And I was inspired, but I started feeling like, well, they're all talking about like what happens after everything's great. I think now we have a little more of a culture of talking about the hard stuff.
Yeah.
But 8 years ago, 10 years ago, not as much. And so I feel it's really important that we share like how difficult it is to change your mindset, right?
Yeah.
To become a leader, not a doer. And it feels counterintuitive in the sense that what I've seen in my community and the thousands of women we've coached is that there's a big paradox, which is to be a business owner and to have some success, even if it's 100,000 or a million or whatever, you have to be really good at what you do.
Yep.
And so you don't want to let go. You want to be doing that all the time, and you're worried, well, no one's going to do it to my standard. So you hold on really tight, right?
Yeah.
And the paradox is the company can't grow unless you let go. And that's like really hard for a lot of people to do. So why is that related to when things are bad? Well, because it's just not easy to make that transition. I think people need a lot of help with that.
Yeah, I remember someone telling me, expect that if you hire the best possible person for that position, they'll be able to, he or she will be able to do it 80% as good as you are. And how does that make you feel? And I remember at the time thinking to myself, not good. We're going to need to do better than 80. But the truth is, that's where they start. And, through making mistakes and learning from those big mistakes, they're going to get better and stronger and more efficient at their job.
Well, and plus back to the numbers, if you think about how you were doing that job that you've hired them to do, right? So if they even just take it to 80% and you intervene and do the last 20%, you still just got back all that time, right? That you would have spent doing that. And like you said, they'll eventually get really good at it.
Yeah. So, thinking going back.
Well, how do you get through the hard times? Yeah, let's talk about the hard times.
Well, I love the hard times.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just feel like whenever something, tore my Achilles, we went on vacation. I went to the doctor the day before vacation, before Turks and Caicos. This was our first trip without Marley. And the doctor's like, cancel your trip right away. Oh. You can't go on the plane. And I remember sitting on the beach in Turks and Caicos because we decided, you know what, we're going to do it. And reading Green Lights. Have you read the Matthew McConaughey book? It's so good. And part of the book is explaining trying to find something positive out of every shitty situation. And a lot of time in the entrepreneur journey, it's like you've got highs and lows, right? So when I'm at a low, I usually get excited because I know that it means it's only up from here. And when I'm having too much success, I'm like, okay, get ready, like
That
something's
low is
gonna go
coming.
wrong. So
Yeah.
that's why I always get excited about the lows. But for me, when things aren't working, it keeps me up at night. And that's usually when I have my biggest breakthroughs, because usually people don't want to make changes unless it's like a slap in the face. So to me, I feel like I usually learn so much about myself and what my needs are actually to get it done. What changes do I need to make to get it done to overcome this obstacle?
Well, and I think one of the benefits of being in business for a while is you've been there before, right? The first couple of times everything's falling apart around you, you're like, I'm not going to get through this. Like, we're going to go bankrupt.
Yep.
And, at this phase of my life, this is like my third business, right? Because I had the documentary film company, I had Little Pim, now I have $1 Million Women. I'm on $1 Million Women 2.0, so I guess it's my fourth company. And things do still go very wrong,
Yep.
It happens. But I just think, well, I got through the other ones, I'll get through this one too. But part of why I wrote Go Big Now is that I wanted there to be more conversation out there about what to do, like literally what to do,
Yeah.
right, in those moments. Like one of my chapters is called Accelerate into the Turn. And it's about what can you do when it feels like everything is falling apart. And it gives you kind of a roadmap. Because part of the scary thing is like, well, I don't know what the answer is, right? And to just stay wallowing in that fear only makes everything worse, as we know.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I like to ask everyone, which is why I was talking about stealing from entrepreneurs, because this comes from Tim Ferriss's podcast. But I think it usually explains a lot about who the person is if you could have a billboard anywhere, for you most likely would be Columbus Circle.
Down the block.
Right. Where, like, what would it say and why?
I think it would say, what's the best thing that could happen? Because I found out in my research for Go Big Now that our brain comes up with 70% negative material all the time. Our brain is just constantly going to the negative.
Yep.
So one of the best mindset practices we can do is to refocus on like what's the best thing that could happen. And that's one of my practices. I sometimes just write it at the top of a piece of paper and like list out like 10 amazing things that could happen. And it just like shifts your energy. So I think that would be an awesome thing to have. Like every time I walked into Columbus Circle, like what's the best thing that could happen? Right. Refocus on that.
I love it. Yeah, I know you're a huge Tony Robbins fan.
I was, yes. I mean, I'm not done with him,
Right.
but yes.
You've taken his...
I've taken his seminars, absolutely. There's a lot of value there.
And I know one of his famous quotes is, you can only be fearful or grateful at one time. And it's up to you to decide which of the traits you're going to be at that moment.
That's a really good one. I like that quote. Our friendship has been really important to me through these past few years. I mean, first of all, I work with mainly women, right? So for me, it's actually really fun to have a friend / mentee who is a guy, and you bring a whole different perspective. And you just have such a huge giving, give back heart. So that's what I saw right away in you. And I salute you as well in everything that you're building. So let's just keep these conversations going. I love that you're bringing this conversation to, your followers about what are some mindset practices we can use? What does it take to like pursue your dreams and make them happen?
This is very hard for Julia. She asked me multiple times for the questions I plan on asking, but I think part of this podcast, the goal is to not have any pre-planned, to show what your natural abilities are. And I think obviously everyone can see how impressive you are as a human being, mother, entrepreneur. And if they want to follow you, what's the best way to follow you on social media?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So Instagram at Julia Pimsleur, just my name, or at $1 Million DLR community. And then on LinkedIn, again, Julia Pimsleur, $1 Million Women Community. We also have the fund you mentioned. Thanks for mentioning that, the $1 Million Women Fund, where we support women of color entrepreneurs with scholarships. That's also on Instagram and LinkedIn. And a little bit of Twitter. I'm getting my Twitter game on, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yep. And also make sure you buy her book, Go Big Now, on Amazon.
Yes, on Amazon. It's on Audible. Here, I think I have one here. Voila.
On Audible. And if you want to hire Julia as a mindset coach, you can find her on juliapimsleur.com.
Yes.
And
then $1 Million Women is simply millionwomen.com. So any woman building her business who wants to join our community, we'd love to have you check it out and join us.
Thank you so much. This wraps up episode 4. And thank you so much, Julia.
That was so much fun. I want the hug. I want the hug. Bring it in.
Deal.
Thanks, Zach. That was great. What a fun conversation.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
I'm so sorry
You
we were
know
late.
you were going to get all grateful and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. Thank you for that.
I've been telling Danielle that we have to repay you. Yeah, I mean, it just proves that, like, even someone like yourself, where, Roger, you want to just click that off? Can we click it off?
Yeah, sure. It's a sales call for sure, because I don't even give that out.
I haven't even seen a landline.
A landline, right? You can
really
pick it up
exciting.
and just like press off. Actually, you might unplug it in the back. That would be smart because they could call back since it's probably a robocall anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually
just
unplug
pull out the
that.
back
I'm sorry,
plug.
I forgot.
You're good. What do we got?
Bloopers.
6 minutes.
Bloopers.
Bloopers?
Bloopers.
Oh, bloopers. Ooh.
What?
You got an offer.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. It's definitely something.
These are really cool.
You like those?
I love them.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's like a Brazilian artist. Jover. You know what I loved? I went to Whitney recently. That's new.
Ooh.
Yeah, Jasper John.
Oh, okay.
You know him?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you do remakes. You're doing art. That was an amazing exhibit.
Yeah.
You didn't see it?
No.
Oh my
I
God.
love the Whitney Museum.
I do too. I just became a member.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. But
it's like the best one.
Oh, I love it. And that exhibit was mind blowing.
And I'm going to say it on camera because I said it before in the taxi over. Julia was so gracious to let me borrow her place in Antibes to propose to Danielle, which was one of the worst proposals of all time.
It's such a good story, though.
Yeah, I ended up sticking the engagement ring down my sweatpants.
In the back.
And she saw me in the mirror put it back there. So when I went up to her, I immediately knew. She knew because you could see it in her face. But I'm going to say it on camera. One day, I'm going to send you on a vacation of your choice to thank you for always being so generous, not only with your place, but also with your time. I just feel like I've learned so much from you, and I've always felt like, why am I good enough to be able to be mentored by you? But you know, you've just made such a lasting impression of all of the characteristics I want to be as an entrepreneur. So
I'm gonna cry. That is so touching.
So I just want to say thank you. And
well, first of all, you have already given back by mentoring in my community. So no need for the vacation, although that sounds pretty fun.
We're going to send you on vacation.
I can just stay at your house in Connecticut. You guys can go on
We're going to send you on a real vacation. She deserves it.
But I'm not taking care of Cooper.
No, you're not taking care of Cooper.